So, you want to be an it girl? Hi guys, and welcome back to Confessions of a Wannabe-it-Girl. Today I'm joined by my lovely boyfriend, Hunter Podell.
She's already sick of me.
I'm not sick of you. I'm started in a bad mood today, so my energy's a little low, but it's gonna change.
But I'm here, so.
Yeah, that does help. You know who's going to hate that right there? Your sister.
I don't care.
It's like,
you can leave that in too.
She's not going to listen to this, but your mom will.
That's also true. That is also true. Terrific.
Anyways, so if you can't tell, Hunter's back on the podcast to talk about not Coachella, not about Christmas, not about 2-in-1 shampoo, but to talk about what, Hunter?
Not missing flights, that's for sure.
Not about missing. Oh, fuck. I forgot about that one too. But we are going to talk about
living together.
Aw, it's cute. We lived together for how long now?
Almost 2 years. Yeah. Coming up.
Why does it feel like so much longer and so much shorter at the same time?
I mean, it's kind of a microcosm of the last, 2.5, since the pandemic, right?
That is true.
Everything's just been chaos.
Yeah, I write 2020 sometimes still as the date on papers.
Mentally, it's still February 2020. Okay.
Okay, so you moved in together when?
The beginning of November in 2020.
So coming up
about
on
2 years.
2 years. Great.
You've been here for 2 years, though.
That is true. So we are going to share some tips and tricks, information. I don't even know if you call it tips or tricks. I would more call it trial and error, and we're just reporting back what worked and what didn't work for us. And we will add the lovely podcast caveat of this works for Hunter and I. It might not work for you, but maybe it will help.
And also, try living with your partner. It's pretty fun.
It is fun. Okay, so let's get into that. So when was it time for us to move in together?
Honestly, maybe even a year before we did, in theory.
Okay, great. Go ahead. Continue.
I mean, just in conventional theory, because at that point we'd been together for over 3 years, and we're going into our later 20s, and other friends were moving.
Let's be clear. You were going into your later.
You were still 24. Okay, excuse me.
Let's clarify there.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Just right where it hurts, huh?
That 1 year older. Yeah. So you feel like we could have moved in a year earlier?
I am really glad at when we moved in. Moved in, because the last place I lived before I moved in, I absolutely loved.
Went out with a bang.
Yeah, went out with a bang. Would it have made the beginning of the pandemic a little bit easier if we had moved in earlier? Yeah.
I don't know. I think it would have made it harder. I totally disagree.
Oh, yeah? Well, tell me why.
Okay, so from my perspective, I kind of agree that it was kind of time for us to move in together a year before we actually did, but I'm not the best with change. And it's a big change. And so I like that it took a year of time for mentally, emotionally to get ready to live with a boyfriend. Yeah. So I actually like that the impulse, the gut impulse was already there, but we didn't act on it
we didn't act on it right away, but we also talked about it about a year before we did. That's when
that's what I think is really important. And I was actually just giving this advice to someone else, is I really think that time really allowed me to prep or think about the things that I wasn't gonna sounds so mom-like, but wasn't gonna stand for in the house.
No, it's important to think about, because one thing's for certain, and not always in good ways. I mean, for us it worked well, but my point is, your relationship's going to change when you move in together. Mm-hmm. It is. And the only way it might change is that, this is what I always explain to other people, when you're not living together, right? Mm-hmm. And, being married, having kids, it's another thing. But when you're just dating and then coming in to move in together, you spend a lot more of your downtime together. And also it changes the way you spend time together in certain when you're at home. Whereas before, maybe I would come over 8:30 after we're done with everything on a Thursday night, and we would be really focused on each other. We maybe would have had other stuff we wanted to do that evening. Because I also kind of
feel like we just went to bed sometimes.
Well, when we get there later, but my point is, we would be focused on each other. We would, whether it was eating dinner or just watching TV or just hanging out and chat, whatever it was, we were really caught up on each other, and that's how it should be. That's how most couples are, because that's their time together, right?
It's such a different perspective.
Okay, well, let's hear your different perspective.
So at the end, kind of when I was at my end of the rope with us not living together, like I was so sick of bringing like an overnight bag.
Yeah, that's what I was
say that all the time. But like also like I kind of felt like our quality time was being affected because we didn't live together. So like because it for me. And you have to understand that I was always running around town a lot more than you were.
Oh, I know.
And so I felt like, oh my God, like I'm not giving Hunter my best quality time. So like, that's why it was such a plus for me.
When we moved in. So yeah, in typical Hunter fashion, my explanation was a little long-winded. That's where I was trying to get by basically saying like, instead of trying to focus that time together, which to your point, you're like, oh my God, I've been running around. We only got together at 9:30. Now
and I'm exhausted and I was probably bitchy.
Maybe, but the thing is that
nice, maybe.
that 45 minutes you have is like, okay, we're going to focus on each other. Now you come home after running around all day and I'm sitting on the couch at 8:30. I'm just like, sup, you want to watch TV? And you're like, no, I'm busy.
Are we dating or am I your friend?
Sometimes, but that's another thing that I want to say is sometimes you have to be roommates and that's okay. And that was my point there where if like, yeah, the sup was a little bit of a joke, but my point is if you come home, now we're just living in the same space. If you're free and I'm free, we'll hang out and it's still quality time with less pressure and less time attached to it. And if you're busy, okay, that's fine. I'll see you in the morning. I'm going to sleep in the same bed as you.
Most nights.
What do you mean most nights?
Well, sometimes a friend crashes in the bed.
Oh yeah, sometimes I get kicked out.
Sometimes you get kicked out by the girls.
That has happened a few times.
That's happened like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, hey,
that's what the sometimes joke was.
Hey, it's a small price to pay.
No, but like it is interesting what you're saying about. I feel like because you're, well, in our case, we were actually friends first.
Yes.
Then we were boyfriend girlfriend. Then you kind of go to being boyfriend, girlfriend, hyphenate roommates. Mm-hmm. And then you kind of go to like, there comes a point in there where you get a little frustrated. You might just be roommates.
I don't know about that one.
You don't agree?
No, I mean, I do agree, but like, it's not. That's what I was just saying is like some nights.
Oh, so once again, the long-winded.
No, you just
fucking.
Yeah, I know. It's not the. I mean, that was like a good example. I mean, yeah, you can also be frustrated at each other and need to give each other space, which is going to happen. And I think that's what I learned is, especially living together, you don't have to fix everything right away. Like if you have a rough moment, just like give some space, have some space. But yeah, I kind of lost track of what I was saying.
That's okay. To wrap up this thought, I think when it's time to move in, for me, or my advice would be for when you think you're not going to be able to take it for much longer than 6 months not living together. Because also if we overextended that, if I had said that and I was like, hey, I want to live together in a year, and we didn't live together in a year, to be completely honest, I don't think our relationship would have progressed and we honestly might have broken up.
Yeah, would we have broken up? It's hard to say, but
like at some point, if you're not moving forward in a relationship that you want in your trajectory, like that's becomes a non-negotiable.
No, I agree.
But that's different for everybody. Like some people, especially in 2022, don't want to get married or want to have kids but don't want to be married. Like there's so many different paths. But like for me, that was the next step.
Right, that was what you wanted to do.
So if we didn't do that, I was going to be upset.
Right, and what I was going to add to that is the year before we moved in, our relationship was definitely stagnant. I wouldn't say in a bad way, but just in the way that like nothing really changed. Like we lived where we lived, we had our friends, we had our friend groups, we had our activities we did, we were pursuing our careers. It was the same thing as really every year other than the first year where you're kind of just figuring each other out, and you need a couple of those years.
With our relationship.
Exactly. We were to the point where it's like, well, the thing that I think both of us thought was, well, we either should do something or stop wasting our time. If we're not going to move in, then do we not? It was just time for us. And
we didn't want to break up, but like, yeah, that's
where we were at. Whereas, like, if we don't move in, like, what are we kind of doing with this relationship? Right, because
you want to keep it going. Like, you want to keep going. You want to keep leveling up.
And that might not be for everyone. That's what it was for us, and that's kind of how like we knew it was time.
And I also think it was really dope that we both had really great situations with great people that we still love and cherish, and we got to like live out that like 20s thing of like living with a roommate. So yeah, I wanted to go back to like something you said, and you were talking about, you were like, you don't always need to fix everything. Yeah, so like I don't know if I'm going to explain this in a way that could potentially make you mad at me. So
you know what? We're live.
Like, yeah, you were in like, when you moved in, you were like in full blown perfect boyfriend mode 120% of the time, which like.
Did it piss you off?
Sometimes, because I was like, I don't need you to fix this right now. I'm just screaming at my computer because I'm frustrated at my computer.
You'd rather me say like, yeah, your computer's fucking dumb, bro. And then.
Or just not acknowledge that I'm screaming at my computer.
Yeah, I scream.
Yeah. So like you would always come in with the computer is truly the subject I'm talking about. And I would just be like, it doesn't fucking work. Like blah, blah, blah. And Hunter would be like, okay, blah, blah, blah. Let me fix it. And like, I was like, hey, sometimes like I'm just like bitching because I need to bitch. And like, I don't need you to fix it. I was like, let's turn the dial down on boyfriend mode. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
What, how did we get to that nice little redirect? Do you recall? So no. Like it was like, okay, like she is my roommate and girlfriend, but also she's just a person living in her space. I don't need to go fix her living in a space stuff all the time.
Yes.
Right.
Well, and also I think it's just living in a space. That's what I meant earlier when I was like, you need to be roommates. It's not that it takes away from any part of your relationship. It's just that, to your point about being perfect boyfriend mode all the time, if you don't give each other space and treat each other as roommates, not in the sense that like, oh, like we're not romantically involved or something, just in the sense that Marley came in hot, she's busy, I'll just wave and, we'll talk to her in a couple hours. Before you move in, if you were together, no one would ever do that.
You would never blow past each other at the door or like whatever.
And now you kind of have to have your life be the best life it can be. You blow off your roommates. If you had a work call and you're running to a work call and your roommate was like, oh, you say you still lived with your old roommate and she was like, oh, let's watch this on TV. You would just be like, no, I'm busy. Right. That's okay to say to your partner as well.
That was hard for me though.
It was hard for me too. It took an adjustment.
That was an adjustment.
It was an adjustment.
I'd kind
100%.
of be like doing something, and you would come in and just start talking to me, and I'd be like, oh no, like I'm really into something, and then I would do it. I would, especially spell checking things. Like you would be in the middle of something, I'd be like, spell check this.
Yeah. I remember one time I was like in the middle of a meeting, and you just came home, and like you opened the front door, and you're like, Hunter, screaming. You came in like, I need you to edit this really quick. And I'm like, I'm literally giving a presentation to try and land a new client right now. Like, can you just know?
Not great. Yeah. So like that was an adjustment, but like, how did we conquer that?
Well, we talked about it.
It goes up and down though.
I mean, you're going to have your moments, but the thing is, A, we got used to how to handle it because we lived together longer. And B, I think we just realized, and I think that's one of the bigger things about living with your partner is figuring out, it is going to be, you said it earlier, it's going to be very different depending on who you are. Right. And you need to figure out what is your way of cohabitating and living together, that you can be roommates, you can be significant others, you can give each other space, but you can also give each other support and love and whatever else it needs.
Yeah. I love that. What were you nervous about? I know.
Well, yeah. Well, I was like, what?
I was really nervous about the apartment, like about living together. Like I was really nervous about, your cleanliness, like not on your person, but just like
on my house, around the house,
like around the house. Like not that you're like the messiest, but just like
I'm not the cleanest either.
No, and that like kind of stressed me out because like I didn't want to.
I also had other roommates, which you failed to understand every time. So we had this conversation a bunch, and I was like,
that doesn't excuse your room, Hunter.
Yeah, okay.
Like, that's all you.
Yeah, okay.
Like, that's all you, so don't like...
No, yeah, fair.
Like, you just you weren't the cleanness, and I have extremely high clean standards.
You mean OCD?
I mean, that's probably politically incorrect.
It is I'm joking. That is definitely politically incorrect. She has very high cleanliness standards.
I just really think it, but it does give me like stress and anxiety. I know. I can't.
I've seen it.
Focus if it's not clean. So I was really nervous about you just kind of like throwing things everywhere.
And did I do that when I first got here? I feel like I did for like a week or two while I was settling in, but...
You want to know the thing you still do though?
Yes, because maybe I'll stop since you're...
We've talked about this.
Oh no, maybe I won't stop.
You used to complain so much about how your roommates would leave dishes in the sink. And
now I don't do it.
And now you are the number one culprit because there's only two of us who leaves dishes in the fucking sink.
I would say if we could do some things over again, you giving me rules of... So she was, when I moved in, she was like, you can't do the laundry. You can do this, but you can't do that. And let's just say I'm off my game in some portions.
Why do you date
me? Why do you date me?
Because I love you.
Yeah, exactly. I love you too.
Like, yeah, I did. So let's talk about that. So this is unique, maybe. I was like, so here's how this is going to go.
I was threatened if I touched the laundry, to be perfectly clear.
I mean, any girl can understand that my Aloe Yoga pants and Lululemon pants are like $200. And if they get washed with other clothing, they will pill and I will be mad, and they're expensive.
Oh, I'm aware
and that
now.
is a big fear. So no, I didn't want you doing the laundry because also I knew what was hang to dry. I knew what wasn't. So yes, that was the rule. At first I was like, I only do laundry. You don't do laundry. Not because I was like, I'm going to be like feminine and do the laundry, because I just like literally didn't want you fucking up my shit.
It had nothing to do with being a feminist. It had everything to do with you being type A as hell.
Like I was just like, do not fuck up my shit.
Like, this is my shit. You don't touch it. And I mean, look, you're going to have roles and things you do. I cook more. Marley cleans a little more, things like that.
Hunter always takes out the trash.
I always take out the trash.
I was like, here's the deal. I'll do the laundry, you take out the trash.
But putting hard stops, like we kind of, because now I'll do my laundry sometimes, or like. That is not true.
Give us
literally like 3 weeks ago.
What did you wash?
Oh my God. See, I don't know exactly what I washed, but I took both hampers in. I did all the wash. I felt a little bad because when I was, to your point, things hang to dry. When I was in the transfer to the dryer phase, I was trying to do it without you. But you remember you came out and you literally had to go one by one. This one hangs, this one doesn't. But my point is, convenient.
Blocked it out from my memory.
Convenient, of course. But I wouldn't set a hard, like, you cannot do this, just because there are times where like I should probably have picked up the slack, or like I should have done all the sheets or the towels, which let's be real, you can't really fuck up. Yeah. But in my mind, I'm just like, don't touch the laundry. Right?
No, yeah, that's fair. But that goes to one thing I kind of wish I had done better, even though I kind of I know you said you didn't like that I set those parameters. I did, but I kind of wish I had been more open to you like countering them, or like saying other expectations, because in the beginning, like, I wasn't very clear about, I said, you take out the trash. Like, I didn't say like, hey, it'd be great once in a while if you wipe down the counter, or like, hey, the dishes have been done for 3 days. It'd be great if you took them out.
Well, and I
didn't, that's on me. I didn't express it. So
right.
Like,
and
how
it also,
would you know, like, you can't read my mind.
Not only would I not know, but it also doesn't help that you like literally, and all of Marley's friends know this, literally you find joy in cleaning things.
That is true.
So when you're running around cleaning up the house and in a great mood, I'm like, okay, yeah, like do your thing, girl. Look how happy she is. So that was confusing at first. I would say now we're much more balanced in all of it. Yeah. And we figured it out, but
that took us expressing, like, or me like re-expressing, like, hey, these are kind of the expectations, or like, hey, in the beginning also, this is an example, make this example work for like whatever it may be with your significant other that you're living with. The example was originally, I said, I'll do all the laundry. I folded it and I put it all away. And then a few weeks ago, I was like, hey, so I'm done putting your laundry away.
Which I've been putting my laundry away.
Which you have, but like, you have to say things. Like, that's the things that I think relationships can get. And we've had this conversation in other aspects too. If you don't say it, how do you expect somebody to know? You
can't, even with someone you're really close with, you love, you can't always, sure, a lot of the time you can, but sometimes you can't read each other's minds. And at least with us, I think that's where I think we've both, and I don't have like specific examples off the top of my head, but we've both kind of assumed things like we were just talking about. And we've maybe not upset, but like either frustrated or inconvenienced the other person because we didn't talk things out and like communicate what the expectations were. That actually causes
more stress.
Right. Than just saying it might be stressful to say, hey, like, I want you to cook every meal. In exchange, I'll do this or something like that. And maybe it doesn't have to be so transactional. I'm just giving you an example, but it's worse when you are just kind of all over the place and then things start getting dropped and then you can start blaming each other. Why is the kitchen not clean? Why is this like this? Why is that like that? And that's, I mean, we don't have that problem, but to me,
we never really blamed each other, did we?
Because we never blamed each other. It was always just like, you didn't do that, and I would be like, well, I didn't know I was allowed to do that, and that's when we would communicate and adjust, and like putting away the laundry. Like, why isn't your laundry put away? I would be like, I didn't even know it was done. I didn't know you wanted me to do that.
That's something I'm still kind of working on. Is like when I say like, hey, can you clean the stove? Like, I mean, can you clean the stove now? And you're kind of like, you're like, I'll do it. And I'm like, okay, When?
The number of times I've been in the middle of my workday and this girl's been, can you take care of this for me? And I said, yeah, sure, no problem. And I mentally thought, and maybe I should say, hey, I'm going to do it after work or whatever.
You should state when you're going to do it.
But sometimes I've even said stuff like that, and the number of times this girl has gotten impatient and just done it instead, I can't count.
Yeah, so like that's bad, but that's bad because I'm not supporting or trusting you to do it.
Well, I mean, and you end up taking
irritated.
you take on more. My thing is, the way I see it is, you take on more work. You might get more frustrated. And it's like, well, I was going to do it, but I understand.
I've gotten better about
definitely.
saying like, I don't want to do this, or like, could you do that, or like blah blah blah. And so that's been good.
Unsurprisingly, one of the biggest keys, just like a key to any relationship, right, is just communicate, talk, use your words, like big boys and girls.
Right, like just because I do the laundry primarily and fold it and I don't put it away, like there might be a day I'm just like, I feel like shit, can you just do the laundry?
Yeah, which has happened before.
Yeah, so, you know, like just use your words. It sounds so dumb.
No, it sounds so dumb, but then I'm always amazed at like talking to friends who are in things like, you would be amazed, and I'm sure you have the same thing. Just so many people just don't, they either are unwilling to communicate or they communicate, I don't know, lazily or just without purpose, where they're not really trying to deliver a message. And not that the message is something important, but even just say expectations, this is what I want.
Well, and this is the thing too, is like, I think people, and I've had moments like this too, where I've indirectly tried to say something with something else, but I was really upset about something else. If that makes any sense. The girls got it, but the guys didn't get it.
No,
like,
I got
I'll
it.
Be like, why don't you put away the dishes? But like,
you're upset because I didn't put my socks away or something like that.
I hope maybe it has more depth than you. Like, it's probably like, oh, I feel like we haven't gone on a date in a while. And like, that's like probably like the fucked up rudimentary of how that's going.
Which that is another thing. You got to make sure you keep doing, you can't just always hang out at home. Even if you are spending quality time together at home, you got to go on dates. You got to go do stuff. We've been pretty good with it.
We honestly could be a little better.
I was going to say we could be a little better too.
Like, we could both be a little better about like, but yeah, you have to keep like the date. And we did have a conversation about that. We were like, you know, we kind of have to keep the datey part of our relationship alive. And I actually like, I don't know. I'm not married. I haven't been married for a long time, or like, you know, but I haven't been in a relationship for a long time. I honestly think that's something you have to keep in a relationship no matter what your status is like, if you want to stay in a relationship and you want to stay in the married thing, you have to act like there is a chance on some level this could all go away tomorrow. Not with anxiety, but just like, I should treat you with love and respect. I should take you.
Just don't take it for granted.
Right. You shouldn't take it for granted. I should take you on that date. I should. This is vice versa. All these things I'm saying, they're not just like Hunter to me, but Hunter to you. Like, I should buy you a meal or buy you a drink when we're out, or like, you know, offer to pay for something, or like.
You got to keep the chase going.
Right. You have to keep the chase going regardless of where you're at in your relationship. I don't know. I think that's important. And I think we've gotten way better about it. My
parents are about to be married for 30 years, and they literally went on, I mean, they're retired, it's a little easier, right? But like, they go on a 3-day trip. They went on 2 3-day trips in the last 2 weeks. Like, they go out to dinner like every other night. Yeah. Like, they've been together a long time. My dad's, he's older too. And they're just like, fuck it, we're doing shit. You know what I mean? And that is definitely important, especially, it's always important, but especially when you live together, because it's so easy. It's so easy
to get into. Well, this is how it is now.
Right. And it's so easy to just feel like, oh, well, we ordered DoorDash and hung out and watched TV. Like, that's romantic. That's a relationship thing. I have to say, though, on some level, and we have to watch it, that's kind of become our thing, though. No, but we both love it. What I was trying to say is that can't be the only thing.
That can't be the only thing.
You have to be friends. You have to be roommates, but you also have to, like your point, keep the datey part alive, which is going out on dates, going out to the bar, going sightseeing. I don't know, whatever the hell your thing is.
Going to movies.
Yeah, like everyone has different things. Maybe you love surfing. You wake up and go surfing together. Like, I don't know.
On a family, we were lucky enough to go on a family vacation with your family and my family. Mm-hmm. We've been living together. Then we're on a trip together with our families, like, which they were both great trips. But like, it's a lot of like confined.
You're together a lot.
Yeah, confined spaces.
Well, and like when
we made time to do stuff, just the two of us, on both those trips.
Yes, we did,
which was super important.
And it was really fun too.
We had a great time on both of them. Like, when we were in Key West, we went to lunch.
We had like a date day.
Yeah, we had a date day. And when we were on the cruise with my family, we decided to get drunk
at like 11 in the morning.
Yeah, and like ride the slide.
Yeah, we were like, we're going to use all our drink coupons, run around, be idiots. And it was but
it was really fun. It was like an adventure. So like keeping the spark alive.
Definitely.
What is something you had to adjust to? Something I had to adjust to, and I think I've actually recently crossed the finish line on adjusting to it.
Let's see.
In the morning, Hunter wakes up but likes to lie in bed.
I do.
For like 30 to 40 minutes.
Well, it depends. I can do it with like 5 or 10, but you know.
You can, but what do you prefer?
Like 30.
Yeah. So, and I was always like, the alarm's up and at him. Like, you know,
that is true.
Like, so that was something I really had to adjust to, that you were not going to be like that. And I was like, fuck. Like at first, like I was like, okay, it's fine. That will just be my time. That will be my thing, whatever. And so I was kind of like, okay. And that I did that for a little bit. Maybe I'll go back to that at some point. But
to
like,
what?
To you staying in bed and laying around and me being like up and at 'em.
You still get up out of bed before me most days.
Most days, but have you not noticed that now I planned 30 minutes to lie in bed with you in the morning?
That's because you love me and you're very sweet and you want to spend nice time with me in the morning.
So, truth though, had you noticed?
Yeah, I have noticed. No, I have noticed. I've definitely noticed.
Because now that's part of quality time, I think.
Yeah.
And now I've adapted, like that.
You like it
now I like it.
Yeah.
But
just like I like.
Now the alarm goes off 30 minutes and I just plan to spend 30 minutes in bed. So like if
Unless
I want to be up at 8, unless I can't, like, I think it was, no, it was this morning.
No, we hung out for a bit this morning.
No, we didn't. Yeah, we did.
Like maybe 15 minutes.
It was shorter. But, we also woke up before the alarm, or I did.
We woke up at 7 a.m.
I think it was Monday. Oh, because I went to hot yoga. Yes. Like I was like up and at it. But it was like the first time in a while that I had done that. So that was something like I had to adjust to. So like if there's a habit your boyfriend or girlfriend or significant other isn't sold on at first, like give it time, like just continue to do your things. And like, but now I actually like kind of like that time, you know? So like I adjusted to that,
yeah.
But that is 100% your thing. I know what you've adjusted to living with me.
What?
It's keeping the TV on.
Oh God, yeah, that's okay. I don't know. I was just to say, like, now I'm able to watch like 3 TV shows at a time and not care because like I'm just not a big. What's the word?
TV consumer?
Like, TV, movie,
content
like
consumer?
Visual. No, like like theatrical television content, whatever. I don't know what it
Narrative
is.
television?
Yeah, like I was just never
theatrical content.
Theatrical content. I mean, like I was just never like, I didn't dislike it necessarily, but I was always like, I'm gonna do something else. Not with Marley, but what she brings up, the TV at night, that was a bigger adjustment for sure.
How did you adjust?
Survival of the fittest, baby. Adapt or die.
You're like, not this.
No, it's funny because I've actually so adjusted now that like I'm not a good napper. I can rarely sleep unless it's dark and I'm in my bed and I'm not too hot. Like I'm just like, I've never slept on a plane. I mean, like I have, but like it's very difficult to sleep on a plane. It's just not possible for me.
I can sleep anywhere.
Marley can sleep anywhere. Like no matter what, no matter how loud, doesn't matter. Marley can't fall asleep without, not only can she not fall asleep without the TV on, she also, what do most people, I would, you know, like for the listeners,
talked about this today with my therapist.
For the listeners, you know, when she posts this clip on Instagram, go hit up in the comments and let me know. What kind of TV do you like before bed? Do you want to watch something casual, uninteresting, not uninteresting, but like, I like to watch like Family Guy or sitcoms or like some random BS that's not going to really capture my attention. Because if it captures my attention, I'm going to watch it and I'm never going to go to bed.
And I like the most top of the intelligence, thought-provoking, intense TV.
She's the exact opposite. She'll throw on we'll throw on an episode of Westworld, and you're like, all right, I gotta be paying attention. I gotta be thinking. If I watch it for 2 minutes, I'm like, I'm locked in. I can't. I have 0% chance I sleep. I turn over, Marley's knocked out, and I'm like, but if this was Family Guy, you'd be like, I'm bored.
It is bored. It's unstimulating. I'm literally like, this is dumb.
Marley Freygang, ladies and gentlemen.
No, I literally think it's unstimulating. Because I want to be, because my brain fires like, we need to get back to the topic, but it gets, so like, I don't want to be like watching things that I think is dumb because then my brain just goes back to, if I'm sucked in by the TV going, I'm focused. And then I'm like, oh, this is relaxing. That sounds so good. And like, this is a great ASMR. Like, by the way, if you're interested in ASMR, purchase these. The chaos continues. Anything else you'd like to add about living together?
It's really fun. I love just living with you. I love living with my best friend. Like, we get to just like, you know,
gonna cry.
It's like, it's cool. It's like, you know, most people live with their best friends before and usually have the same gender and whatnot. And then you move in with your significant other and it's like, you get a whole host of different things you can do. You adapt to each other and it's very... You
always have an Uber, buddy.
Always have an Uber, buddy. Never have to go home alone. Yeah. Always have someone to come save you when you get too drunk at a bar for no reason, or at not a bar, but at a comedy show or whatever that was. Both, I guess. I've
also picked you up drunk.
Yeah, I'm not saying you haven't. I'm not saying you haven't. I'm just saying, like, the level of convenience goes up, but it is like a two-edged sword, because if you get too comfortable and too convenient, then you'll kind of not lose what you had, but like things I would say can come up, frustrations can come up. And like we said earlier, if you're not really trying to keep the spark alive and you just become roommates, then, you know, eventually, like I have some of my friends' parents growing up, they're still married. He works the night or the day shift, she works the night shift. They're like boats in the night. They're married. They barely have a relationship. Wow. So it's like, you can get into that mode. And for some people, that's what they want. That works.
Yeah, it works.
I'm not knocking anything, but especially, and they're married, right? And like, it's a little different, I think, if you move in after you're married, because you've already made
that's actually something I want to talk about. It was so interesting. I was on a set and a director, I don't know if she was religious or conservative or like whatnot, or just maybe just like old fashioned, but she told me her and her husband got married when she was pretty young and they didn't live together till they were married. Yeah. That's like a really old fashioned
old fashioned religious idea.
I mean, it came from religion. I don't even know if it's really that religious.
I don't even know what religion it came from. But
probably Christianity, but whatever. Like, I don't know. But the point being is and when she said that, she talked about it so highly, she was like, everything is new. You're doing it together. It's the building base of your relationship. And I was like, yeah, that is a good selling point for it. But then I had to be like, no, but for me, like, I couldn't not know all that before. All
right, let me serve you this. Yeah. How is what we did any different than waiting till...
Exactly.
It's not. All the same new, everything she was talking about, the newness, the excitement. That just happens when you move in with your significant other especially for the first time, I think, because, I mean, there's just new things that you haven't experienced before. This was our first time, both of us living with a significant other, so it definitely plays a role. But yeah, I mean, for us, we were both like, we want to see if we can make this work before we pull trig.
And we still do stuff like, we split the cost of groceries. We split all the bills.
Yeah, like, well, we don't have a joint bank account yet. Maybe one day we'll just put it on the, one day we will just put it on the joint bank account.
Well, that's my plan.
Yeah, it's easier that way.
It is.
For now,
that's
not the life we have.
But it wouldn't make sense for you to be, in my opinion, and I've heard of relationships like this where they're like, one of them, like, they buy their own groceries and they pay for it themselves, but then, like, can you not eat each other's food?
Yeah, no, I'm not into that. We love shit. I mean, we
love sharing everything.
We love sharing. We love doing things for one another.
And we like kind of switch off who buys DoorDash and like whatnot. And it's nice. Mm-hmm. Something that's like come up in our relationship a few times is like the concept of love languages. Do you think they're important or not? Like, you can be honest, because I'm kind of like on a different camp than I think you think I would used to be.
I think they're important. They're important if it's important to you or your significant other.
Good answer.
If you feel like, let's say your love language is physical touch, right? Like, if you need a certain amount of physical touch to feel like secure in your relationship, and you can't get that from your partner, like, then I think that's important. Now, if both of you are just kind of like, now we're good, then like, it's not important.
Well, and like, I used to be really harped on it. But I also think I was really harping on it because it was kind of the early stages of our relationship.
We're trying to figure
when there was a change. Like, I got really big into it again when we moved in together. If you're not, what's that called? Familiar with, why was that word hard? Familiar with like the concept of love languages. They're gifting, physical touch, act of service,
words of affirmation.
And
something.
So hope that's not ours.
Yeah, whatever the last one is.
Hope it's not that one. But look it up. You'll be. I was able to tell without taking the quiz, which mine was. And I think it's important, but. And like, it's a great conversation or piece to pull back to if like there's something you're trying to make a point of. Like, there's definitely been conversations, especially since living together, that I've been like, hey, remember that my love language is this. It's a great reference point. But it's just like, it's not, I don't know. It's not like as harsh of a rule in the sand, I think, as like, it has to be, Yeah.
Like,
there are important points, but like, it's not like, I don't know. It's just not like a be all end all.
No.
Like, I don't know.
Shouldn't be a be all end all, but it's not something to just like ignore at the same time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if one person is not getting their needs met and you like that's just gonna end.
That's why when I think you move into together, or there's a change of some kind in a relationship, you get together, you broke up, you get back together, whatever it may be, I do find those terms helpful to communicate, but I don't think they're like as line in the sand as maybe some people believe.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. We're not scientists over
We're
here,
not scientists. We're also not experts. Also, like, please, for the love of God, don't think that like Hunter and I live together and it's all peaches and roses.
It's definitely
all the time.
not. I mean,
no, we've had like many a deep talk at 2 a.m. where I'm like bawling my eyes out. We're like screaming at each other and whatnot. Not like, it's not that dramatic, but like all couples go through it. So like, please don't think that. We're just trying to like set up some ideas of like what it helped us, and we hope it helps you too.
What did you wish you knew? I didn't even write that
What
down.
did I wish I knew?
When we first moved in. That would have made it easier.
That's a really good...
I can go first.
Okay, go first. Mine's dumb.
I wish I knew I could... Okay, mine's a little less dumb, I guess. I wish I knew I could push back on you with some of like like when you were like, you don't do the laundry, you don't do this. I was very like, okay, I just want to make you happy. You want what you want. That's fine. But I even thought at the time, I was like, how are we going to live together for what's supposed to be the next however long we live if this all works out? And I'm not allowed to touch the laundry. But I just didn't say anything. Right. But I wish I was like, no, I don't think that's a good idea. Like, let's do it together until I figure out, well, whatever, have an open dialogue about it. But I guess that goes back to the same thing I said earlier, which is just communication, especially at all points. But when you move in together, it's very important. It's
interesting because I was going to say something funny, but it does kind of relate back to the main core point of what I was going to say is like, I kind of wish I knew I could have asked more of you at moments and like not done it all myself because I felt like the responsibility, because also to be honest, I had like this huge, and honestly, I think a lot of people do have this whole like fear, like I'm losing my independence by living with someone. Right. So I was holding on to that really tightly because like I want us to be together, but I also really want us to be independent.
Have your things, yeah.
So I wouldn't ask Hunter to help a lot. And I wish I had realized I could ask and that wasn't actually going to like affect my independence.
Right, yeah.
Like it wasn't like a mark in the Marley's not independent category or whatnot.
The only difference in our lives
and the other thing is that I wanted to make sure you'd close the door when you went to the bathroom more.
Yeah, hey, we've gotten better at that one, though.
Yeah. What were you going to say, though? You were actually on a good thought. Sorry.
Yeah, no, on the independence thing, like, you don't have to lose your independence at all. I mean, at the end of the day, we talked about all these things that are different. At the end of the day, the only thing that's really different is your home base is in the same place. You always come back to each other. Mm-hmm. So think about the other roommates you lived with. You could have gone with, weeks without really interacting, just other than being at home, maybe. And obviously, you're not going to do that. My freshman year
roommate, God bless her, she was incredible. She was a great first roommate, but like we weren't that tight.
Right, and that's okay. And obviously, you're going to be tight in a relationship as roommates, but acting like you're not tight for spells is not only like okay, it's definitely important. Like everyone needs their own space. And like another thing I think would be good is like we're lucky where we have extra rooms, where you have an office, I have an office. We can get out of each other's fucking shit if we need to. Not everybody living together can do that, but what you can do is build your little quote unquote safe space. Maybe it's like a small desk in the corner of the living room, or just somewhere where you can go where you feel like, all right, like I'm good here. Well,
and I want to add one thing to that. Sam Valentine, she's the host of One Broke Actors podcast. Love you, Sam. She bought a light to put on her door, and like red means like I'm recording, because she's an actor and she has a podcast. I'm recording, or I'm like in deep focus mode, like do not bother me. And then like blue means kind of like you're like I'm doing something, like don't bother me or whatever. And then green means like, hey, it's great for you, like you can come in.
Yeah, whatever.
Right. So like there are different cues like or ways maybe to communicate, but yeah, find your space. I also highly recommend, even And even though we do have a ton of space, sometimes I just have to get out of the house, work at a coffee shop, work at a library, meet up with a friend, work at their house, like whatever it may be. So any last thoughts?
If you're like 20 or 21, maybe don't move in the first 6 months of dating. But once you hit like 25, 26, it kind of doesn't really seem to matter anymore, especially with our generation. Like, we're more inclined to just move in and see how it goes. And I think it's okay to just like have a really good friend and his girlfriend. They were together for, I mean, it was almost a year when they moved in together. But like, they just said, screw it, let's go for it. Let's see if this is going to work, and then we'll keep it moving. And like, that's okay too. I mean, and even if you're 20 or 21, that's okay. But
or you're 30 or 31. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Or if you're both 31, you don't even have to be a year apart either. There's no rules. There's no rules. But that's the thing I wanted to say on as my last note is like, there's no rules. I think, and that honestly, expectations and societal expectations have stressed me out, and the idea of like, I'm losing my independence, whatever, blah, 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 can really stress you out. But the thing is, like, there's no rules. It's your life. Like, move in when you're ready. If it's a year, if it's 6 months,
4 years, like for us,
it was 4, and like, but we were younger and we were in different stages. Like,
we're in different cities at first too.
Right. It just doesn't matter what you do. It's seriously not that serious to everyone else what you do.
Yeah. To each their own. But when you do it, communicate, be patient with each other, and maybe do the laundry too.
All right. Well, thank you for doing the podcast.
Of course.
I love you.
I love you too. It was fun. Till next
Bye,
one.
guys.